I spent 2 years in prison for my sister, but upon release, my family coldly rejected me, treating me as worthless. Get out! Get out! Get out! Seamus was furious, grabbing my collar and attempting to haul me outside. Don't touch me. I forcefully shrugged off his grasp, forcing him to stumble and almost collapse. Smack! Melanie walked forward without saying anything and slapped me hard across the face. Jonathan, you're no longer the lobby manager making tens of thousands of dollars a month. You are no longer a valuable individual. Did you really expect us to put up with you? She yelled down the hallway. Security! Where is security? When the security guards heard this, they raced over. Melanie pointed at me and yelled at the security officers, "How can you allow anyone in here? Get this beggar out of here now." The chief of security approached Melanie and kindly said, "Ma'am, what is the problem?" Melanie pointed at me again. "This man is a penniless beggar attempting to scam a meal here. Get him out." The security chief stared at me coldly and said, "Sir, please leave." I normally kept a quiet profile, rarely revealing my role as hotel owner. Even though I lived and ate here, only high management knew who I was. When I saw the head of security trying to toss me out so rapidly, I fixed him with a harsh look and asked, "Is this how you handle situations? Don't you understand the hotel's policies? We should not judge anyone based on their appearance or offend any guest." The security chief's eyes flickered with apprehension. He gazed at me uncomfortably, not daring to say anything. When Seamus saw this, he grew anxious. "Don't let him trick you, he's simply a broke ex-con. Throw him out." "Sorry, sir. We don't eject any guests without a reason." The security chief strongly declined Seamus' request. "This is ridiculous. So, what are you security men doing? Are you terrified of him after only a few words?" Gavin shouted at the guards before returning his gaze to me. "Jonathan, I don't believe you can bluff your way out of this. I know the hotel management. One call from me and you're out." With that, he took out his phone and called. "Mr. Feldman, it's Gavin, I'm busy." The call ended abruptly with a frigid response, leaving Gavin standing awkwardly holding his phone. I scoffed and calmly asked, "You want to talk with Mr. Feldman? Allow me to help you." I got out my phone and dialed Mr. Feldman. "Come to private room 777 within 3 minutes. "Are you out of your mind, Jonathan? You are a broke ex-con. Do not claim to be someone important here. We know what kind of person you are. Is there any reason to put on this act?" Gavin scoffed at me. The other relatives looked at me like I was a clown, with derision and disgust on their faces. Melanie wiped the sweat from her brow and whispered, embarrassed, "This is so humiliating. How did I raise my son like this?" James also appeared frustrated. "Jonathan, please leave. Stop pretending. You are making a fool of yourself and your family." "Exactly. Some poor folks have lost their minds and created delusions." Gavin scoffed. "He couldn't even get Mr. Feldman here. Do you think you can?" "That's ridiculous," Seamus hissed, his tone full of scorn. He glanced at me as if simply acknowledging my presence was beneath him. But, just as he finished speaking, a middle-aged woman in a suit appeared by our side. I took the fall for my sister and served 2 years in prison. But when I got out, my sister and brother-in-law were concerned that I would compete for the property and assist my parents in attempting to push me out of the house. 2 years ago, Joanna and Seamus were speeding and traveling in the wrong direction with my car when they collided and murdered someone. My folks approached me quickly. They claimed Joanna had a weak heart but had ultimately managed to marry. If she went to prison, not only would she lose her marriage, but her life may be jeopardized. They cried and asked me to accept the blame for her. They assured me that the entire family would handsomely reward me once I was out. I didn't do it for a reward. I did it because I loved my parents and genuinely cared for my sister. I made personal sacrifices for her, including going to prison, selling my car, depleting my money, losing my job, paying the compensation, and enduring all of the insults. But I never anticipated my heartfelt sacrifice to be met with such treachery and scorn. I do not comprehend. Isn't blood meant to be thicker than water? Why does family loyalty wane in the face of personal gain? Joanna's expression darkened with disdain when she heard my words. She responded, "I've already thanked you for taking the fall. What else do you want from me? This house is now in my name, and Seamus and I are expecting a kid in a few months. There isn't enough room. You have to relocate. We cannot afford to maintain an idler." In her opinion, 2 years in prison was barely worth one thank you. Asking for more made me appear unreasonable. Melanie interjected, "Nino, don't you understand? A man's fate is to marry and provide for his family rather than to rely on them. We hope to marry you off to a respectable woman and get some security. However, as an ex-convict, no one will want you. Letting you stay here is already something we're thinking about for nostalgic reasons. Seamus said. Exactly. You've been in prison, so you'll remain impoverished indefinitely. If we let you stay, you'll drain us dry. He warned, his tone harsh. James extinguished his cigarette and replied coldly. Jonathan, you've grown up now? It's time you recognize the value of giving to the family rather than making problems. Each of their words was like a sharp razor cutting my heart. Despite my intense disappointment, my eyes welled up. I stared at them and exclaimed, hoarsely, no wonder you never paid me a visit during my 2 years in prison. I assumed you were just too busy to see me. But now I realize, you only regarded me as a moneymaker. You kicked me out without hesitation when I couldn't make money anymore. I cocked my head back, trying to keep back tears. Then I inquired. So you're all determined to kick me out today? Yes, Seamus responded without hesitation. Melanie, Joanna, and James all appeared determined. Obviously, there was no space for negotiating. I saw no affection in their eyes. I nodded, my heart devastated. Fine. As you wish. We're done starting today. And I hope you don't regret it. Finally, I saw them for what they were. These folks, who I longed for during my 2 years in prison, did not deserve my sacrifices. However, the $100 million I had intended to split with them would now remain with me. I walked out the door without saying anything else and did not glance back. Behind the door, I heard Seamus' furious roar. You think too highly of yourself. What's there to lose by cutting connections with a broke ex-convict like you? If we let you stay here and mooch off us, we'll truly regret it. After leaving that callous home, I explored the streets alone for quite some time before finding a hotel to stay at. Lying on the bed, I gazed at the 9-figure number in my bank account, lost in thought. I used to believe I grew up in a pretty happy family. When I was having challenges at work, my father patiently comforted and guided me. When I worked late at the office, my mother would bring me my favorite supper. When it rained, my sister would come and pick me up at work. I felt like the family's most cherished young prince. I was always perplexed when I saw tales online about parents preferring daughters over sons. How can such families exist? How could they not love their sons? But now I understand that dreadful sensation of helplessness and disappointment. I realized I had always been a member of such a family. All of the love I'd felt was predicated on my usefulness to them. I was more of an investment. Their love was the price, and my money was the reward. As a result, the gifts of fate had always come at a hidden cost. They smiled warmly when I told them I could generate money while also providing a nice living for everyone. But now they saw me as an ex-convict who couldn't find work and had no money or value. Their love had evaporated entirely. Little did they know, this ex-con had $100 million in his account. I couldn't help but be a little excited, wondering how they'd react if the son they loathed the most reached the pinnacle of success one day. The next day, I checked into a hotel in the city center. This wasn't just any hotel, it was a high-end, vast operation that offered dining, housing, banquets, and even business services. It had 8 levels and occupied the entire building. The location, surroundings, and foot traffic were all great. Before going to prison, I worked as a hotel lobby manager. Naturally, I wanted to return to my previous profession. Only this time, instead of being a manager, I'm the owner. I spent several hours negotiating with the hotel's owner before buying it from her. That same day, I assumed management responsibility. From then on, I lived and ate at the hotel, utilizing every opportunity to study and build new management and operational tactics. Under my direction, the hotel's business grew to the point that reservations were nearly impossible to come by. I quickly became a legitimately affluent man in the city. 6 months later, while inspecting the dining department, I overheard Joanna talking in a secluded area. This motel is quite popular. I had to plan my daughter's 1-month birthday party 2 months in advance simply to get a table. I've heard that only the creme de la creme may dine here. Joanna, you made it, bringing us to such a luxurious location. I stopped in place when I discovered Joanna had invited our parents and a large group of relatives to this private room to celebrate her newborn daughter's 1-month birthday. Melanie was showing off by filming videos on her phone. My face appeared in the shot as her camera panned to the door. Jonathan! What are you doing here? Melanie set down her phone and frowned at me. When they heard this, everyone in the room turned to face me, who was standing in the doorway. Jonathan, do you have no shame? You knew we were hosting a banquet here today and followed us only to get some food. Seamus raced up and chastised me like I was the plague. Who said I was here to scrounge for food? I responded calmly. What are you here for, if not to beg? This is a high-end establishment exclusively for the privileged. If you're hungry, search through the rubbish outside. That's where you belong, she snarled, crossing her arms and staring at me with disgust. The other family frowned and glared at me, disgusted, as if I were an unpleasant fly. Joanna also spoke up, apparently unhappy. Jonathan, when you stated you wanted to cut connections with us, I believed you had some fortitude. But now you've resorted to following us for a free supper. It's just horrible. Before I could react, James joined in. Jonathan, I educated you at a young age to be self-sufficient and dignified. Have you forgotten? How could you give up your pride for a meal? I stared at them and scoffed. It's only a meal. It does not matter to me. You are really something, aren't you? Sour grapes. As if an impoverished ex-con like you could ever afford a lunch here. Even if you've worked your entire life, Seamus sneered. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.